nanu na nsemi ikoso yi ope obi a obetimi a kire sa ntokwa yi mu pa ya Iran Israel ntokwa na mahu se nkrofo bi suso mu a no maso ano ne ekofa ntokwa ne ba ya ankasa no yen masa Kwesi Pratt waba be se ntokwa ne mu nyina ene wa kire mu nie nti a ade a Israel for ye no eye dangerous ma yen kohwe masa Kwesi Pratt ne said they will see the breakdown no e ba ye.
Well, I think what is worthy of note, the number of things which are worthy of note, is that this is the second time in recent history that the West, led by the United States of America, has used a proxy to attack and to attempt to bring Iran to its knees. I mean, the first such attack was carried out by Saddam Hussein with American weapons and American intelligence support, and it failed miserably. The Iranians were able to rally around and to defeat Saddam Hussein. What is significant is that eventually the US and other Western countries under a false pretext attacked Saddam Hussein and destroyed his regime. What that tells us is that the objective was not so much Iran. The objective was to bring the Middle East and West Asia to its knees so that the US and its allies could control the very vast resources of the region. Now, this second attempt at destroying the Iranian revolution and so on, the proxy they are using is problematic. Because the pretext is that Iran is likely to develop a nuclear weapon. That is in contention. Even officials of US security agencies have said that it is not true. But let us assume that that is even true. The proxy they are using, Israel, has nuclear weapons. You understand? And it's not just that Israel has nuclear weapons. Israel has, over the years, refused to sign international treaties, on the acquisition and holding of nuclear weapons and so on. So indeed, when it comes to the development of nuclear weapons and their possession, Israel is a power state. So how a country which possesses nuclear weapons can attack another country on the suspicion that it could develop nuclear weapons is completely insane. I cannot understand it. It's completely insane. You understand? Now, the other issues for me are very clear. The Israelis are using US warplanes. They are using US bombs. In fact, most of the weapons that they are using are US weapons. And President Donald Trump has admitted that, has said that on many of his tweets, that they are using US weapons, and is boasting about how powerful US weapons are and so on. Not just that, you have American troops on the ground in Israel protecting, that's the word they use, Israel against reprisal attacks from Iran. So the US is very deeply involved in this crazy adventure. Now, history also teaches us important lessons, and history teaches us that the people of Iran have never surrendered, and that throughout their history, they've never given up on an inch of their territory. They are proud people, they are resilient, and it is clear that they are committed to their values. Now, yesterday, the US President Donald Trump actually called on the Iranian authorities to unconditionally surrender. And I was wondering where he was coming from. I mean, what is he talking about? Iran has been attacked. Israel is the aggressor. And you call on the victim of aggression to surrender unconditionally. Well, what does that mean? And Donald Trump is double talking. In one breath, he doesn't want war, he wants a negotiated settlement. In another breath, he's even boasting about the fact that the alliance has the capacity to assassinate the Iranian spiritual leader and so on. I'm very deeply worried because we are getting to the point where political assassinations are being given some kind of legitimacy. You disagree with somebody politically, you go and kill him. You don't like what some government is doing, you just go and kill him. I mean, in the past, these were things that they did in secret. Now they are doing it in our face. You understand? They killed Patrice Lumumba of Congo simply because they didn't like him. The Belgian intelligence officer who killed him only 2 weeks ago was boasting that he cut Patrice Lumumba's body into 34 parts.
Right.
And dissolved them in acid and kept his front teeth as souvenir and so on. They killed America Cabral. They killed Chris Hani. They killed Salvador Allende and so on. But in those days, they hide to kill. Now they are killing in our face. They are warning us that they are going to kill and so on. I'm worried because we could very soon get back to the era of asymmetric warfare, where everything was justified for as long as it was in the interest of the cause that we are pursuing. I think the international order is being destroyed. I think that the law-based international order is being systematically destroyed.
Right.
And it poses a danger for all of us. Now, the other dimension that I think we should be looking at is simply the fact that throughout history, when empires are on decline, they resort to war and aggression. And it is clear throughout history. What history proves that these aggressions by empires on decline have never succeeded.
Okay.
I mean, the world virtually, largely has defeated classical colonialism. The world defeated the transatlantic slave trade, which were the bastions of empire building and so on. We destroyed it.
Right.
And the world is making progress towards the dismantling of this neo-colonial arrangement, which makes others the direct beneficiaries and owners of our resources, and our people continue to wallow in poverty and so on. That order would not survive for long, in spite of the aggressions which are being unleashed and so on. Now, listen. Today, as we sit here, Israel is before the International Criminal Court for genocide. It is committing genocide in Palestine. It has violated all UN General Assembly resolutions. It is behaving so lawlessly around the world. Is this the country that decent people who believe in a rules-based international order should be supporting? I doubt. 3 days ago, I saw some very harrowing videos, and I'm sure you've all seen them, of Iranian retaliatory attacks hitting Tel Aviv and other cities in Israel. And people in Israel are running into the bomb shelters. And they are preventing blacks, Africans, and other nationalities from going into the bomb shelters. You saw those videos. Were you not horrified by this? I mean, absolutely horrifying. So as for blacks, they should be killed. The bomb should fall on them, they should die. You know, I mean, this racism is shocking. And the world must condemn this racism. Now, a lot of people want to trace what is happening now in West Asia and the Middle East to the October 27th event and so on.
Yeah.
The UN Secretary General has said that that's a wrong position to take. The UN Secretary General has said that, look, the conflict did not begin today. It began in 1948 or thereabout with the declaration of the State of Israel. Now, just yesterday, I was going through archival footage, so, and I saw an interview with a former Israeli Prime Minister, Golda Meir, who says that she herself is Palestinian and that she was carrying a Palestinian passport and that before then, there was no Israel. That before 1948, there was no Israel. And that's most instructive. This is Golda Meir, former Prime Minister of Israel, confessing that before, what existed in that region was only Palestine, and that she herself carried a Palestinian passport. What else are we going to say? Then there are those who are totally misinformed, completely misinformed, and they base their judgment on some religious fiction. You see, many people support Israel because they claim that it's a Christian country, because they find Israel in the Bible and so on. That's illiterate. To put it mildly, that's completely illiterate. The statistics show that there are more Christians in Iran than there are in Israel. It is clear that the Zionist movement created Israel as, or wanted to pretend that Israel was a Jewish state. There are many Israelis who do not accept that. Many Orthodox Jews do not accept that Israel is a Jewish state. But be that as it may, the state religion of Israel, what Israel claims to be a state religion, is Judaism. It's based on the Old Testament. It's not based on the New Testament. In fact, Israeli state religion regards Jesus the Christ as an impostor. You understand? So Israel is not a Christian state. In fact, there are more Christians in Palestine than in Israel. And beyond that, you've heard about the Church of Nativity. The Church of Nativity is in Palestine. It's not in Israel. Jesus the Christ was actually born in Palestine. And the manger in which he was born is the manger upon which the Church of Nativity has been established. That should explain why the Pope who recently died continued to be in communication with Gaza on a daily basis. Every day he was in contact with families in Gaza, declaring support and solidarity for the Palestinian people. The Pope of the Catholic Church, was in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Now, you're talking about one country in the Middle East. And indeed, it's a small country in the Middle East, which currently is bombing Iraq, killing civilians, killing women and children. Is bombing Lebanon, killing vast numbers of women and children. Is bombing Syria, killing vast numbers of women and children. Is bombing Yemen, killing vast numbers of women and children. Is bent on reducing Gaza to rubble. As we speak, more than 70,000 Palestinians have been killed. Out of these 70,000 Palestinians who have been killed, 2/3 of them are women and children. Women and children. Now, they are using food aid as a trap. You see, when you want to trap mice, you set up your trap and you put food in the trap. And the mice come for the food and they die. That's how Israel is treating the Palestinian people. They've taken over the aid distribution centers and so on. And as the Palestinians rush for daily ration in order to escape from starvation, they shoot and kill them. How callous can they be? This is callousness in the extreme. You understand? They dropped more bombs on Gaza than were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki together. And the world is just sitting down, watching this genocide unfold before our very eyes. I'm completely disgusted by what is happening in West Asia and the Middle East. Completely disgusted. I'm even more disgusted by the inability of the world to stop this nonsensical genocide. What kind of world are we building? If another country can wake up and just drop lethal bombs on another without justification. You understand? I'm really worried about what is happening. I know that the Palestinian people and I know the Iranian people are people of conviction. And they would not, under any circumstance, surrender. They would not. I'm absolutely confident that they will fight to the hilt. And I want to pray and hope that Donald Trump does not commit American forces to this madness. Because the consequences for all of us, for the United States of America, for all of us in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, will be grave. Already we are beginning to suffer the consequences. The price of petroleum products have started shooting up, and it will affect everybody in the world. It is time for leaders of the world to put on their thinking caps and to initiate moves which will restore peace in West Asia and the Middle East. I've listened to President Macron of France, and I think that President Macron of France makes a lot of sense when he says that even if they succeed and bring about regime change in Iran, the consequences for the world will be dire. This is President Macron of France, and he's speaking loudly and clearly that this adventure which is taking place, or misadventure which is taking place in Iran, would have devastating consequences for the world, and he's urging his colleagues in the West to stop it. You understand? I listened to President Erdogan of Turkey, of Turkiya, Turkiya, only yesterday evening. And he has come to the conclusion that the greatest threat to peace and security in the Middle East and West Asia is Israel. You understand? I've listened to the Chinese government, and it is clear that they condemn in no uncertain terms what is happening with Israel as the proxy. And I've listened to the Russians, I've listened to many other countries, world leaders, or leaders of many countries in the world, who are disgusted by what is happening in West Asia and the Middle East. I want to believe that cool heads will prevail and that the aggressors will be stopped from continuing this senseless aggression, which will plunge the whole world, if we don't take care, into a thermonuclear war, which would have extremely devastating consequences for all of us. You understand? And look, the arrogance of Israel and its officials is sickening. Only a couple of days ago, I'm sure you all read the statement that the Israeli ambassador in Ghana made. The effrontery. The Israeli ambassador in Ghana is teaching our government how to behave in international relations.
They said you are disappointed in us.
I was shocked. In any other country, that Israeli ambassador would not be residing in Ghana today. He would have been sent home a long time ago.
What's wrong with what he said?
Who is he to determine Ghana's interest? Not just that, he urges the Mahama administration not to cooperate with the African Union.
Yes.
That we should defy the African Union.
Yes.
Can you imagine? We Africans, we formed a union which enables us to work together to protect African interests and so on. And there's an Israeli ambassador, some Israeli ambassador here, telling us not to work with the African Union. The effrontery. And he says we should break ranks with the non-aligned movement and the Arab League.
Yes.
Who is he to dictate our foreign policy? This insult, and he says that Ghana, the government of Ghana is not pursuing Ghanaian interest and so on. Who are you to make that determination? But you see, unfortunately for us, for some time now, since the overthrow of Nkrumah, we haven't had strong governments, especially as far as foreign policy is concerned. So all kinds of diplomats, some of them nitwits, actually parade the corridors of power, insulting our leaders, giving instructions to our government and so on, and they go free.
You remember John Benjamin?
Yeah, they go free.
Yeah.
Ghanaian diplomats cannot do that in other countries.
You dare not.
Ghanaian diplomats will be expelled.
What?
They will be disciplined. But in Ghana, it's free for all. Any small nitwit diplomat
You see, Moro.
calls the press, insults our president, give instructions to our foreign ministry and so on, and we are quiet. Amazing. This could never have happened under Champon. It could never have happened even under Jerry Robbins.
Moro.
It could never have happened under Kwame Nkrumah. But it is happening now. And I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. Our government should show some muscle. Protect our sovereignty. Let these diplomats understand that we elected you. We gave you powers to protect our interests. And we are the only people who can determine whether what our government is doing is right or wrong. It is the Ghanaian people. It is not for an Israeli ambassador to make that determination. I want to see some action. I want to see this government take some action to protect national dignity. What is this?
Enti Kwesi Pratt and I would say Uncle Kwesi and Wababe Chechim or no a Israel, any Iran, any Middle East you want them, any Russia, any US and Samodia. Was said that translation. It's or knowledgeable in that field. Now no and a Wababe Chechim. A high info I or number one super duper was Ken Lakuta Macrao.